One thing we have to understand, though, is a lot of the messaging that's coming through the major corporate media in the U.S. is not geared towards us. It's geared to those who are already in agreement with the policies towards Israel. So, I mean, probably it's geared towards American members of Congress. It's geared towards AIPAC donors and loyalists, right? It's geared to the vote blue no matter who crowd. You know, it's geared to the the MAGA redders kind of thing. Like, it's geared to the purpose of the media messaging in this war from Israel and from the American corporate media has been to provide a narrative that, you know, bestows righteous indignation, that makes it clear that there must be redemptive violence. If there is not, this thing will happen again. This is the only way you can stop this evil, is to do this genocide. I mean, so when you look at some of this media, you have to understand that the purposes of the media, the audience is not the general public, but it's the audience, that's the constituency that already supports Israel, because they want to maintain and confirm that constituency, because their strategy is just to keep the United States in their corner. They don't care about the rest of the world, as long as they have the world's reserve currency behind them, as long as they have the American military industrial capacity behind them. They feel that they can persevere, and that in turn, right, builds upon the ideology that they have already of Fortress Israel, right, of us against the world.
Which is why I feel we have a responsibility in this country more than anywhere else to do whatever we can to stop that from happening, because other countries, it's not really up to them.
Matt, obviously being a war veteran, a Marine, I'm sure you've seen a number of the videos of our friend of the show, Medea Benjamin of Code Pink, chasing down all of these bureaucrats, because that's what they are.
Oh, are you going into the Brian Mast thing? Yeah. We can't with him.
Brian Mast is a little bit different, as you know, because he is a combat veteran as well who lost his legs. And the fact that he is gung-ho about war, I mean, granted, he takes $500,000 from the Israel lobby, so that explains a lot of it. But the fact that he served in this hellscape, and much like John McCain says, oh, yeah, let's have more of it.
Well, Mast is our generation, right, Matt? Like, he's
probably younger. I mean, he's probably, I don't know. I mean, Google it. I would imagine he's late 30s, early 40s, maybe.
But these are not innocent Palestinian civilians across the world. When you're looking at the 500,000 people starving to death, are people that should go out there and put a government in place that doesn't go out there and attack Israel on a daily basis.
I mean, the ignorance to make a statement like that, that's somebody who isn't even capable of nuance. I mean, he's taking his talking points directly from AIPAC, as clear as day as I can see.
Right. He's a psychopath. He's a psychopath. Look, they're 2.8 million Americans served were part of the Iraq and Afghan wars. So that 2.8 million, you're going to have a pretty good number that are psychopaths. Right. What's the number supposed to be? 2 or 3% of the population is.
Right. That's a good amount of people.
That's a lot of people. And some of them be successful. And so it's whether it's people like Brian Mast or people like David Petraeus. I mean, you're going to have these, and the entire Congress is full of them in many ways. Right. So the intersection here of opportunity for Mast, as well as opportunity then for the war machine to have its proponents, to have its people in high positions, to have its mouthpiece. I mean, this intersection is clear, and the benefit of the two of those working together is this is who the war machine wants. This is who the Israel lobby wants. If it wasn't Mast, it would be someone else who thinks exactly like him. The fact that he's able to stand on 2 prosthetic legs wearing shorts, he proudly shows off, and I shouldn't say that because possibly maybe he needs to wear those shorts because of the way those legs work. But I mean, certainly that type of panache, I mean, he is equivalent to, I'm blanking on the name of the former Navy SEAL from Texas.
You're talking about, Mr. Eye Patch.
Yes.
No, it's Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, Crenshaw, exactly. And the ability for them to use that type of prop, if you will, you know, and I'm saddened these guys had these injuries. They never should have been over there in the first place to receive these injuries. But to act as if they somehow don't utilize them for their gain, for their positioning, to establish some type of superiority, you know, we're being naive. But certainly a guy like Mast is a psychopath. And this is what they need. This is who flocks, who adheres, who is happy to lead these types of justification for genocide. I mean, you listen to this man talk, and he just dismisses the deaths of children and says that these children had it coming for not having built a government in opposition to Hamas in Gaza. I mean, this is just ludicrous, ridiculous talk that only a psychopath could utter, and he probably doesn't believe it. Maybe he does. But, you know, I mean, the problem is the entire hallways are full of people like him who are either fervent believers, they actually do believe this, and maybe Mast is one of those, or they are stupid. You have to remember Susan Collins a few years ago after January 6th writes that op-ed saying, I thought it was the Iranians who were attacking the Capitol building that day. I mean, so you have people who are observably stupid. I mean, they say these things out loud. And then you have others who know what they're doing. They know they are lying on behalf of genocide. They know what they are supporting, and they go along with it because it's best for them, for their careers, for their purposes, etc.
Well, that's the point. The point is that regardless of what Mast believes, Mast is doing this because, much like the psycho-Zionists that are in Hollywood, like the Deborah Messings of the world, the Michael Rappaports of the world, they're doing it because they think it's going to help advance their career. No more, no less. He looks at this as an opportunistic moment for him politically. That's why, again, why would you take $500,000 from the Israel lobby? We have the same problem with our congresswoman who's taken close to $1 million in the Israel lobby. So when that type of thing starts happening, you know that there is political calculation that goes into this. The only problem, of course, is that this is a man who, because he has served in combat, I mean,
people think that gives them credibility, but you know what? It doesn't to me, because I know people like you. And I know people I actually know more people like you than I know of people like that. No,
he's definitely an anomaly in the sense that, especially for Marines, no one who goes to the combat zone ever comes back the same. But that percentage, like you talked about, whether it's 2 to 3%, frankly, it might even be higher considering what you have to go through on Paris Island. At the end of the day, this is a guy who is completely messed up in the head, and he has not properly dealt with it, because he's probably lived his entire life basically being told, you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to question what you do. You just do what you're told and go right along with it. And so let's play the rest of this. And
we're going to make you sit through this. The red people that are appalled by this guy.
Really. These kids, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds. They destroyed more infrastructure in Gaza than they did in Dresden. So that is like the
and there's more infrastructure that
they destroyed more of Gaza than what happened in Dresden.
There's more that needs to be destroyed, and there will be more that gets destroyed.
You want to see them starve to death. UNRWA is what's keeping them alive.
We want to make sure that we don't give $1, 1 penny to UNRWA, and that it actually be totally abolished.
Why? They were set up in 1948 to serve the refugees of Palestine. That's what they were created for. So the UN created it because they were displaced from where they lived.
And the United Nations was moronic for creating UNRWA.
You are heartless.
You can say
Do you realize how heartless you are? These children are being slaughtered, and now you want to take away the last bit of food and water and supplies, any medicine. Do you want to take the last bit they have? Yeah.
Let me just say this. If if you ever find yourself in a position where you're being yelled at by the Code Pink ladies, you have taken a very wrong turn somewhere in your life. That's what I know. And I don't care what it is they're yelling about, because it's like those ladies are all about like peace and harmony and love. If they're yelling at you like that, there is something wrong with you.
And to see, and I know a lot of them, and to see them begin to lose their composure like that, they really were confronted with something they hadn't seen before. This type of bragging, this desire, this reveling in death and slaughter, this lack of humanity and a desire to see harm done to people that he doesn't even know. And so at what point do you start crossing into those lines of, having these metaphysical conversations of like, is this what evil is? What is your definition of evil? And does Mast fit it? I think Blinken fits it. Someone who is willing to go along so cynically and cravenly with Israel in the sense of being complicit in a genocide. I think Biden fits it as well. Although I think we tend to put more of the bulk of the weight of this on Blinken, because I think we kind of assume that Biden is a bit out of it, whether or not that's true or not. But certainly, I think this is entirely appropriate for us to be having this conversation on individual levels, in groups and forums, and on a national level of what is evil. Is this what we're talking about, where you are seeing genocide being committed in an entirety of a destruction of a people, destroying everything from them literally to destroying them figuratively? The Israelis are killing the poets of Gaza. They're killing the professors. They're wiping out anything that gives any semblance of identity to the Palestinian people. This is why they tear up the graveyards, so that the Palestinians cannot point at the ground and say our bones are there, our people are there. They are destroying the past, the present, and the future of Gaza. That is what genocide is. And so how can you be complicit? How can you, as Israeli media reported last month, since October, the United States has sent 25,000 tons of bombs, of munitions to Israel, 25,000 tons. To give you, that's 25 kilotons. The Hiroshima bomb was 15 kilotons. So we have sent, physically shipped by plane and by cargo ship, 1.5 times as much explosives as was the Hiroshima bomb. I mean, so how can you go along with that and you yourself not be evil? And as a people, we have to grapple with these types of things. We have to grapple with people like Brian Mast. The other aspect of Mast, too, that we can't discount is he may very well believe this. This may well be his identity. This is what he sees himself as having a white hat on, as destroying evildoers. He has this religious aspect to him that sees things in a cosmic, universal, arc of history type, and he is playing his role defeating the evildoers. And there's an extension to that, or an aspect of that's connected as well, of those who believe in the empire and who believe that this is what you have to do to keep your empire safe. You have to be out in the borderlands destroying these barbarians. And that is certainly, you saw this not especially in Biden's people, but in Trump's people, you really saw that. You saw that in James Mattis. You saw that in John Kelly, his chief of staff. A lot of it comes out of the Marine Corps, but it's heavy in the Department of Defense. This idea that we are servants of the empire and we have to go out to these frontier lands, to these borderlands, to destroy the barbarians, to keep our people safe.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.